What is going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys tuning in. Little W tonight. What's today? Thursday. Last time the Lakers played was on Christmas. So Lake Show over the Charlotte Hornets, 133 to 112, the final score. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Obviously, recording this. You know, some advantages here when I do record. I get a chance to listen to Coach. There's a couple things, take a little bit more notes rather than just going live right away. But anyway, sometimes I'm going to go live right away. Other times I'm going to record like this. Not in LA, so still down in San Diego. So some of the stuff that I do have when I do go live, end up doing it from up there. But nonetheless, got a lot to get into. And it's a win. It's a W for the Lakers. And they did kind of what you were hoping for and expecting. And they got to limit some minutes from some of the key players. Really, really good game from the Lakers bench. So we'll spend some time talking about that as well. I think some historic numbers for the Lakers, highest assist total they had since the mid 90s. I heard that on Spectrum a little bit earlier. Want to spend some time talking about that third quarter. AD's dominance, and if he's getting enough credit for what he's been able to do for the Lakers. We'll also look at just don't want to overreact, right? A win against the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, what does that really mean? You did something that you're supposed to do, but they got a couple road games coming up here before the end of this year and the start of the new year. So I think that's going to also kind of gauge what the Lakers are. I want to look at the Lakers in the NBA standings, Gabe Vincent update, and then we'll preview the upcoming game as well. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Shout out Underdog Fantasy right over there, partner of the channel here on YouTube. So very happy to have them a part of the show as well. Already made my picks for tomorrow's games. I'll get into that a little bit later. So overall thoughts on the game, just real quick on this. So Lakers obviously beat the Charlotte Hornets 133 to 112. I think the first half, nobody should have been impressed in that first half because there really wasn't much to be impressed about. I thought I was doing the pregame show with Michael Thompson a little bit earlier, and I thought for me, I was like, okay, let me just kind of let me get this right. Let me kind of fully understand this. You're playing a Charlotte Hornets team that's lost 8 games in a row. They're 7-21 on the season. LaMelo Ball, obviously their best player. Gordon Hayward. They had a couple other players that were out as well, not playing in this game. Lakers got everybody but Cam Reddish and Gabe Vincent. So, of course, they're going to blow out the Charlotte Hornets, right? I mean, of course, that's exactly what the Lakers are going to do. End of the first quarter, Lakers were down 3. Halftime, they're only up 1. So I would say through the first 24 minutes, I don't think there was a Laker fan out there who's like, are you guys kidding me? Are we going to do this again? Is this going to happen? And I'm not even talking about, I know sometimes it's easy to, when we're talking about the Lakers and we want them to blow out a team. When I say, I don't think there was ever a point that I thought Lakers are going to lose to the Charlotte Hornets. But I think what you also didn't want was, is this really a close game in the fourth quarter against the Charlotte Hornets? And it ended up being that. And it did end up being that. In the first half, it looked like it might be that. But it did not end up being that way simply because the Lakers decided in that third quarter specifically to wake up and start playing some good basketball, and they did. So I'll chat a little bit about that third quarter for the Lakers. 41-23. 41-23 for the Lakers. They also went on, and this was a lot of the bench players that were in the game during the stretch, a 16-3 run for the Lakers bench to close out that third. I think Rui was the only starter that was in there. So a 16-3 run. Lakers started pouring it in towards the end of that third quarter. And then all of a sudden you looked up at the score and you're like, wait a minute, Lakers up 15? Wait, are they up 20? And that really was the second half for the Lakers, but all of that was triggered by that third quarter. 41-23 alone in that third quarter. And a lot of that happened because of the Lakers bench. So as I change my bench here, or as I change my banner here, I got a couple things that I want to spend some time on, and it's going to be on the Lakers bench. Now, it's up to you guys to figure out how much credit you want to give the Lakers tonight because it is the Charlotte Hornets and some of the other things that I pointed out. I think the key thing and the most important thing is, did you get the W? Yes. And did you end up actually with a blowout where you didn't have to play LeBron and Anthony Davis anywhere near 30 minutes? Yes. So mission accomplished. So even if the first half didn't go as planned, the Lakers were excellent in the second half to make sure that if the two goals that you had before the game started was, okay, of course, win the game, and number two, make sure LeBron and AD don't have to play big time minutes, you accomplish those goals. So I think the Lakers did that, and they did it against a team that they should do it to. But I want to jump into the Lakers bench real quick, and I'm going to share some of this real quick because I think it's good info to show you guys. Let's get the Lakers. Where is it here? Where the hell is it, Laker fans? All right, let's share this here. Look at the Lakers bench here. Okay. Yes, you got AD. Yes, you got Rui and LeBron that had some nice contributions. I'll get into them in a little bit. But look at the bench here for the Lakers. When's the last time you've seen a bench like this for the Lake Show? Now, things are going to change for the Lakers. The fact that DAngelo Russell is now coming off the bench, so certainly you're expecting that the bench has more firepower. They already got Austin Reeves there, somebody that could very easily win Sixth Man of the Year. When Cam Reddish is back, Rui Hachimura is going to continue to come off the bench. So you got a lot of firepower coming off the bench. But let's just go up and down. Christian Wood only took 4 shots. He had 9 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. I heard Austin Reeves after the game with Mike Trudell on Spectrum. And Austin Reeves was talking about, do you know how difficult it is to sit the pine, get X amount of DNPs, did not play, and then eventually be asked to come in and actually have some contributions? Christian Wood did a good job with his 23 minutes tonight. And the reason why Laker fans, that's important, even though it might not seem important against the game against the Charlotte Hornets, where nobody's really questioning whether the Lakers are going to win the game or not. Excuse me. The reason why it's important is because Christian Wood might get an opportunity against the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Pelicans. Those are the next 2 Laker games, or that long homestand that they have against good teams, and you just want him to have a certain amount of confidence. Let's keep going down the list here. Let me skip D'Lo real quick. I'll come back to DAngelo Russell. Let's see what we got here. Can you guys still see this pretty well when I go split screen? Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's pretty good right there. Ah, it's beautiful. Look at this. Look how beautiful that looks. Okay, let me go back into it here. So let me do Max Christie real quick. Max Christie, I think, just got kind of a surprise appearance. Even the broadcasters, Billy Mack and Stu Lance, Bill McDonald on Spectrum, they were talking about it as it was all going on. It's like, oh, Max Christie's going to get some playing time. Max came in and instantly, I just thought, brought some good energy. Had a couple highlight blocks in that first half. What did he end up with? How many blocks did he end up with? 2 blocks. So both of those came in the first half. He's a plus 18 on the plus minus. He had 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. And I think anytime the Lakers play a young team, I like seeing Max Christie in there because he's going up against other guys that are rookies or second year or third year, something along those lines. So they're not miles ahead of him of just pure experience. I could see how he can get exposed against good teams, veteran teams. But I think tonight is a good example of, let's give this guy some opportunities. And those opportunities came because Cam Reddish wasn't playing. Cam Reddish been dealing with that groin issue, so that's why he wasn't in there. So I thought Max Christie handled his business. Okay. Let's go to Jackson Hayes. A lot of those points came towards the end. Only played 7 minutes, but got 10 points in those 7 minutes. Give him his credit. Austin Reeves, I think this is just what we're accustomed to from Reeves. Another 16 points for him, 4 assists, 6 of 8 from the field. D'Lo. D'Lo is the one that I think right now is the player that we're all looking at and kind of wondering. I know I spent some time in the last video that I did, and I spent some time talking a little bit about, okay, well, DAngelo Russell is his future with the Lakers is now going to be off the bench. Okay, if it's going to be off the bench, is he going to get starter type of minutes? Okay, well, in those first two games that he came off the bench, that definitely wasn't the case. 17 minutes and 18 minutes. Is he going to be in there in critical moments of a close game against a good team? That certainly has not been something consistent that Darvin Ham has gotten to him. So I say all that because I don't have an answer for you. I'm not sure. And I think DAngelo Russell now is kind of fighting for his opportunity, his potential to get back in the rotation, his potential to potentially close out games, his potential to try to get starter minutes again. I think D'Lo's fighting for all that. I don't think that's a guaranteed or a lock for DAngelo Russell at this point. I really don't. I don't think that's the case. And I think that's something that we're just going to learn as the season progresses. But D'Lo tonight hit 50% of his shots. I thought hit some key threes for the Lakers when it was still close. Ended up 4 of 7 from the 3-point line. Had 16 points. My favorite, stat from D'Lo, he had 9 assists. So he was finding guys. He was setting players up. And anytime I think DAngelo Russell, I wish he was a little bit more aggressive on offense because I think the Lakers can use that from him. But anytime he's out there facilitating, I think that's his strong suit. That's what he likes to do. That's what he wants to do. DAngelo Russell, I genuinely believe, is a natural facilitator. He's a player that prefers to pass before shoot. And you don't have a lot of players in the NBA where that's their strong suit or that's their quality. So I give D'Lo credit for that. Now, where I will stop on the DAngelo Russell part is the Charlotte Hornets. We're going to have some games coming up, and I'm going to probably keep repeating this as I, go through this post-game show. We're going to have games coming up where DAngelo Russell is going to have opportunities against playoff teams. Will he deliver in those games? I'm not sure. Will he have games coming off the bench where you're saying, okay, at Minnesota, they played him 30 minutes. They played him 30 minutes because they needed to play him 30 minutes because he was that effective for the team. I'm not sure. So good game for him tonight. Good game for a lot of these players off the bench for the Lakers. But ultimately, I think for the Lake Show, it's, again, tough to give a lot of credit to a team that is playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have now lost 9 games in a row and are clearly not a team that's going to be in the mix when the dust settles. And they got a lot of injuries as well. Okay, a couple other players I want to get into. Rui had an insane plus-minus. I don't know if you guys seen this. I'll show it to you real quick because it's a good comparison with some of the other players. Some people love the plus-minus. Some people hate the plus-minus. I don't love or hate it. I'm kind of in the middle on this bad boy. Look at Rui's plus-minus right here. So Rui's right here, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 7 of 12 from the field, plus 34 in the plus-minus. That's insane. So for those who don't know what that means, it's very simple. When he was on the floor, the Lakers outscored the Charlotte Hornets by 34 points. Damn. That's impressive. That's very, very impressive. So plus 34 for Rui Hachimura versus the Charlotte Hornets tonight. 17 points, jumped into the starting role, 28 minutes of play. Everybody keeps talking about how that mask is incredibly uncomfortable for him and how much he hates it. All right, he's powering through it and trying to make it happen. So a good night for Rui tonight. Bron, 17 points, 11 assists. My favorite stat for Bron, played 25 minutes. That's it. Bron played 25 minutes tonight, and that's all I want to see, and I think that's all anybody wants to see. Also, one other thing to keep in mind, and this is the only other individual play that I want to talk about. AD, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 4 block shots, and 2 steals. And my favorite stat from Anthony Davis, played 26 minutes tonight. So Lakers, by the way, clearly, when they get a little bit of rest, they look better. They look more fresh. But that's, I don't want to keep using that excuse. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is how the NBA works, and you're going to have back-to-backs, and you're going to have stretches where you got a lot of games and you're playing a lot of good teams. So I don't want to use any excuses for the Lakers. I really don't. I've mentioned that before. I've mentioned that a number of different times. Every team deals with issues and injuries and schedule and road games and travel. Everybody does. So I don't want to hear that too often. I think I mentioned I've heard Braun talk about that a little bit. I've heard Darvin Ham talk about that a little bit. I don't think anybody wants to hear it. And when I say nobody wants to hear it, is because the Lakers got a lot of there's a lot of players or a lot of teams in the NBA that deal with that stuff. So I'm not gonna. It's not something I want to whine about. Certainly not on this channel. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Anthony Davis for a second. So Anthony Davis ends up playing 26 minutes tonight. Fantastic. Austin Reeves, again, said something post-game that I thought was interesting. He said that, I've said this on this show a lot. You guys have heard me say, when AD has a bad game or doesn't get to the free throw line enough or is not aggressive enough or just doesn't take as many field goal attempts as he should or just doesn't feel like he's impacting the game, that speaker gets cranked up as loud as possible, and everybody's saying, what the hell's wrong with Anthony Davis? But when he has good games, that speaker is very, very quiet. So what I wanted to ask Laker fans out there is, you think AD's getting enough credit this year for what he's doing? You think AD, his contributions this season for the Lakers and how consistent he's been, is he getting enough credit for what he's doing or not? And you guys can feel free to comment below on what you guys think on that. I will tell you this, just kind of looking at his stats. I was curious. He's played in 30 of the 32 games that the Lakers have played so far this year. So he's missed 2 games so far this year. I think that's accurate. Maybe 3 at the most, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. So he's been available. He's showing up for the Lakers. He's there through injury, any nagging pains, churned ankle here, whatever the case is. He's just going. He's just powering through it. So he's played in 30 of the 32 games that the Lakers have played so far, and they're 17-15. Let me give you some of AD's stats just on any given night. Against Boston, 40 points, 13 rebounds. Against OKC, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, couple block shots, and a steal. I already gave you his stats tonight, what he did. That loss at Minnesota, 31 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 block shots. The game against the Knicks, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. The point I'm trying to make is, more times than not, he had a game also against Chicago, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. That's when he turned his ankle again. The point that I'm trying to make here on Anthony Davis is, the man has been there every night for the Lakers. I'm not telling you he's perfect. He's talking actually right now on Spectrum. I'm not telling you he's perfect. I'm not telling you that he's the best big man in the NBA, but damn. Everyone kind of has had their doubts on Anthony Davis. Everyone has kind of sat back and said, okay, I like this about AD. I don't like that about AD. How come AD can't do this? How come AD can't do that? Another 4 blocks tonight. What he does on the defensive side, he had a possession, 2 possessions in a row. He had a block shot that helped kind of open up that lead that the Lakers had. The man's delivering. You know, now the question is everybody else going to be consistent? Is everybody else going to be there? Are they going to find ways to get out with a better energy to start the games? Are they going to continue to put themselves in a tough spot where the Lakers go from, like I said, Charlotte's a good example. First half, it's a 1-point game or something. Okay, it should be a blowout. They ended up blowing them out, so they were fine. But how are they going to be against the premier opponents? What I will tell you is I don't really have as many questions for Anthony Davis. Maybe something changes as the season progresses, but so far, has it not seemed like Anthony Davis has been excellent, has been consistent, has been clutch, has done everything that you're asking Anthony Davis to do? I think so. So I don't think there's enough credit going to Anthony Davis, but that's all right. I think he's just doing his thing, and whether I don't think he's looking for the credit. I think he's just delivering, and whatever happens, happens. So you guys can feel free to comment below on AD on that. Okay, I said this a little bit earlier. Let me get back to it. You did to Charlotte what you were supposed to do to Charlotte. Period. Period. I don't think there's anybody walking around there, any Laker fans saying, guys, we just took out the Charlotte Hornets. I don't think anybody's doing that, right? I think that's safe to say that there's no Laker fans out there that are overly excited about getting a W against the Charlotte Hornets. This is the part that's interesting to me. You know, I think this is the part to me that's always interesting with the Lakers. They got a stretch coming up here. All right, just 2 games, nothing crazy, nothing completely out of the ordinary. But they get to go back to Minnesota coming up on Saturday. And the reason why I like this matchup, I like it because Lakers played well at Minnesota without LeBron James. That was the second of a back-to-back, Chicago and Minnesota. They hung in there. You know, it was a well-fought game for the Lakers. They never gave up. Every time that the down 7 could have gone to down 11, that maybe was going to end up being down 16, it didn't happen in that game. And they kept it respectable. And I was reading some of the comments after that game, and it's like, here we go. It was basically like, has it come to this that we're giving them credit for losing? No, it's not giving them credit for losing. But without Braun at Minnesota at the time had the best record in the NBA. Maybe they still do. Maybe it's now Boston. I thought they played a very respectable game. Okay, well, you get to play them again a week and a half later, again in Minnesota, and Braun's obviously going to be at that game. So I'm very curious to see how they respond in that game. I do personally have hesitation of getting excited about games that you're supposed to win. Those are not that important or that big of a deal to me. It's the games that the Lakers end up playing. AD, I'm looking here. 29 games of 32 he's played this year. 25 points, 12 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 55% from the field. Got it here on Spectrum. It's the games that you're not supposed to win, or it's the games that, that's a toss-up, or it's the games that, hey, you could face them in the playoffs. Those are the ones I get very curious about. Because in those games, I don't think the Lakers have been consistent. And there definitely has been games where, you know, you're looking at them against good opponents. You're like, what the hell? How? Maybe this team just can't hang with some of these squads. So their next 2, at Minnesota and at New Orleans. See how they close out the year. They're 17-15. They can drop both of these games and be 17-17, 34 games in. They can split these games. I think winning 2 would be incredibly impressive. I wouldn't expect that to happen, but let's see what they do. Let's see what they're able to do. I think that a lot of times you look at games like this, you look at the Lakers schedule, and I've said this before, I love barometer games. I love looking at games for the Lakers and, you know, at the same time trying to measure up who they are. If Minnesota's the real deal, awesome. Let's see what they can do in a game like that. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to mention in regards to that, I'm gonna share something with you guys, and you guys can take a quick look at it as I look through the standings here. Too early to start looking at the standings? Nah, I don't think it's too early. I don't think it's too early, Laker fans. Always got to look at the standings. Okay, let's take a look here. Because for me, I like kind of having a gauge of where the Lakers are. So they got Minnesota next. Minnesota's 23-7. Okay. They got New Orleans after that. New Orleans is 18-14. So the team that's actually in front of them right now. So that's the next 2 for the Lakers. So look, I think we'd all agree here. Phoenix, you got to figure at some point starts winning games. They're behind the Lakers. Rockets, maybe they come more back down to earth. We'll see. Maybe Dallas comes back down to earth. Maybe New Orleans, who's playing some good basketball, they've won nothing crazy, 6 of their last 10. But you could see where the Lakers are in the Western Conference, kind of hovering around that 8, 9, and also hovering around where none of us want them to be in that playing tournament. Still early, a lot of games left to go, and they're only 1 game back from being in 6th, 2 games back from being in 4th. So they're in the thick of it, but they got to take advantage of the schedule that they got coming up. This schedule that they got coming up, I'm going to show Laker fans this because look how many games in January that the Lakers are going to have at home. So pop this up here, okay? So they're at Minnesota, at New Orleans. After that, home against Miami, home against Memphis, home against the Clippers, home against Toronto, home against Phoenix, 1 road game against Utah, home against OKC, home against Dallas, home against Brooklyn, and home against Portland. They're playing basically from January 3rd to January 21st, all at home. They don't have to go anywhere. They got 1 road trip to Utah, right back home. I want to say it's 9 of 10 games or something like that. Lakers are going to be home. So, what a chance for the Lakers to obviously take advantage of the schedule coming up. Now they're going to have 2 tough road games first, and then then they could figure it out from there. But for me, I always kind of like looking ahead of what the Lakers have. They got a favorable schedule. I mean, by the time they're done with that homestand, they really, really got to move up in those standings. They got to be in a position where they're 5th, maybe 4th, something along those lines. Because if they just stay hovering around 500, and LeBron and Anthony Davis are playing in 80 to 85% of your games, and you still can't move up in the standings, then what really is this team? So keep an eye out on that by the time we spend the next, obviously a couple of 3 weeks or so with the Lakers in a position to do some real damage. Okay, Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to show you guys my picks real quick. So for those who don't know, Underdog Fantasy is a proud partner of my show here on YouTube, this channel specifically, Hoops Talk. And basically, if you play daily fantasy sports, it's as simple as this. You sign up through your email. If you've never been on Underdog Fantasy before, use my code HoopsLA. You get a $100 first deposit match. So what does that mean? It means if you put $100, you start a new account and you put 100 of your own dollars into the account, they'll match that $100. You got $100 free to play with when you use the code HoopsLA on Underdog Fantasy. Okay, I'll take it a step further. If you do that and you don't want to put $100, you just want to put $50 in, great, put 50. You want to put $10 in, great, put $10. You put whatever you're comfortable with. We obviously just want to add to the element of watching sports games, and that's it. If you have any issue as far as gambling goes, just call 1-800-GAMBLER. Make sure that certainly isn't an issue. That's not the intention when I do these reads. I know it's not the intention of Underdog Fantasy as well. Look how easy it is to play. Okay, to play, all I do here, there's different options. I always do pick'ems. Pick'ems is what I do. Okay, make sure, by the way, use that code HoopsLA and get that first deposit match for $100. I always do pick'em. Then I come here, I do pregame, as in games that have not started yet. Because it's whatever middle of the night now, these are going to be games for tomorrow. I go NBA, which is exactly what I did. And I picked this game, Sacramento and Atlanta. Picked the 2 best players. De'Aaron Fox, higher than or lower than 30.5 points. I went lower. Okay. Trae Young, higher or lower than 28.5 points. I went higher. I put $20. That's my bet. If I get it right, if I get those 2 right, it pays up to $60. $60. So I hit it, confirm. That's it. Picks are in. That's how quick it is. That's how easy it is. Put that code HoopsLA. I would greatly appreciate you guys doing that, and then the channel gets credit for it. Okay, last thing that I want to get into here, and this was on Gabe Vincent. I want to pop it up. I had it up earlier, so I want to make sure I read it right. So Gabe Vincent has played a total of 5 games for the Lakers this year. That's it. He's only played 5 games. He was out. He played the early part of the years where he played the 4, and then he just came back. What was it, within the last week or so? Tried to come back for the Lakers, see what he could do. He's been dealing with a knee issue, and swelling came back after that game. And then we saw a report there from, who was it that had the report? Shams Charania of The Athletic. And the report basically said swelling is back. Guy's going to probably need surgery. Yesterday, the Lakers made it official. The Lakers announced yesterday, that Vincent underwent a successful arthroscopic surgical procedure on his left knee and will be reevaluated in 8 weeks. So Gabe Vincent will not be back for a while. So forget January, forget February, and just because he gets reevaluated in 8 weeks, that doesn't mean he's coming back in 8 weeks. He could be back in 3 months for all we know. We have no idea. So sounds like he's got a long way to go. 2 months means, at best you're getting him back March 1st. That ain't happening. Okay, then let's say, is it March 15th? Is it April 1st? You're going to try to get him back from the playoffs. And here we are a whole season, and he's not going to have really had too much of an opportunity. Be nice to get him back. If you get him mid-March or something, he could get about a month in before the playoffs start. So we'll have to see kind of what develops there and what happens from there. But unfortunately, no Gabe Vincent for a while. Okay, Lake fans, next game, Lakers at Minnesota. That one's coming up on Saturday. That's a 5 p.m. tip-off, I believe. I will go live after that game, so keep that one in mind. After the Lakers play Timberwolves, that's a fun game. We'll go live on that one on a Saturday, and we'll take it from there. So, Lake fans, I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please like and subscribe if you don't mind. Support our partner, Underdog Fantasy, if you're a fan of daily fantasy sports, and thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you, Lake fans. Lake show over the Hornets, 133 to 112. Have a great night.